Greetings and welcome to our series of weekly devotionals. We're at Wednesday, the midweek point of our devotionals, as we explore selected verses from Psalm 26. I mention often my Catholic upbringing, and it was quite a culture shock for me. Growing up in the Catholic Church, worship was very sacred, very solemn, very quiet. As a child, you were supposed to be seen but not heard. And this was a very grave, serious, solemn exercise coming to Mass on Sunday morning. And then I get to Forks, and it's sort of like a block party every Sunday morning. Everyone's up and about, gathering together, laughing, socializing. You have a hard time getting people to actually sit down and prepare for worship. And while I think there is definitely a positive aspect of that kind of fellowship and socialization, it's a good thing. We don't want to lose the fact that we are there to worship God. I'm reminded of a quote by the writer Annie Dillard, who said that instead of wearing fancy hats to worship, I guess this was back when women wore fancy hats to worship. Instead of wearing fancy hats to worship, women should wear crash helmets. She asked, do we have any idea of the amount of power we so blithely invoke every Sunday morning? Why, it's like handling dynamite, invoking the power of God during worship. I don't know that I necessarily would go to that extreme, but I think there is a balance between having fun and finding meaning in what we do in worship on Sunday morning. And scholars suggest that Psalm 26, one of the themes that Psalm 26 deals with is the integrity of worship, taking worship seriously. The psalmist writes, "I do not sit with the worthless, nor do I consort with hypocrites. O Lord, I love the house in which you dwell, and the place where your glory abides." The psalmist warns against superficial or shallow worship that is hypocritical, worship that does not provide meaning, worship that is not done with integrity. And for me, the biggest takeaway from that theme, that line of thinking, is just a reminder that when we come together for worship, it's never about us. It's not just about us. It's about God. That's the difference. Of course, we like to come together and socialize and chat and have fellowship, but if that's all it's about, then church is no different than any other social club or social gathering that we might spend our time doing. The difference is God, and we come to worship not for one another. We come to worship primarily for God. We give thanks to God for all that God has done for us. We sing songs of praise to God. We read ancient stories that remind us of God's presence in our lives. We spend time in prayer talking with God. And so today, perhaps we just might reflect on the next time we're in worship, whether it's virtually or outdoors in person, that we're there to worship God. And when we worship, when we come together as a community, we do so in the presence of God. Amen.